stew's awfully thin these days.
Oh, what do you expect? Farmers are abandoning their fields and traders their roots.
Still alive, are ya? If you're gonna buy something, be quick about it. You're rubbing me blind, you know. You'll not find a better price than that. It'd better all be here.
First. To find this spherical echo. This is it. Right then. Just two more to find. Village has turned. Time to fight. Stay down!
Too slow. Two down, one to go. That's all of them. Owain can uncross his toes now.
Come back.
Don't tell me we've run out of Pepionas.
Trouble with your gear, or... What do you want? That it? Fine.
Have you tried Molly's lemon tarts? I've never.
Canva lost.
What do you reckon we should do? I say we should just tell.
How was she? The Enterprise, I mean.
Ah, Sid. Wasn't expecting you back so soon. So, is it good news or bad?
Good, thankfully. Here.
Ah, that's brilliant. Thanks a blimmin' million. I'll fit 'em to the smelter right away. May I present to you the Telemon Furnace? Ain't bad, is she?
She's a beauty.
You saved my bacon again, Sid, and I ain't about to let your good deed go unrewarded.
It's fine, really. My bag's flexible enough already.
Oh, don't say that. I'm sure I can make a few improvements to it yet.
You could just buy me a bigger...
How about that clasp? Looks a bit stiff. Reckon you could loosen it up and make some more room? And I reckon I know how. With a new alloy we've been working on. The Telemon Furnace was just what we needed to perfect it. It's a metal, see? So it's lovely and strong, but it's also, well, stretchy, if you can believe it.
Stretchy metal. Well, if you insist.
That is the spirit. You'll love it, I promise. So, what do you reckon?
It's actually quite ingenious. Thank you, Owain.
Shh, don't mention it. You earned it. And I wanted to get some practice in using that metal anyway. Reckon we'll have all kinds of uses for it around the hideaway. Can't think of any right now, but that's our job, innit? Dreaming up new ways to make life easier around here. Maybe even out there, too. One day, the whole world's gonna know about the inventions you've helped us put together. That bag of yours will be the first of many. You mark my words.
They'll hardly believe their eyes, I'm sure.
What do you reckon we should do? I say we should.
Canva lost. It can't be true.
tried Molly's lemon tarts? I've never had them.
Tell us
Run out of Papio nuts and all.
These days.
Oh, what do you expect?
Aye, it's a dangerous world out there. You're rubbing me blind, you know. It'd better all be here. I reckon I can find a buyer. I'll be thankful you got that much. I reckon I can find a buyer. You got out else? Come again. Or don't. I'm not much bothered either way.
Sid, perhaps you can help me solve a mystery.
I can certainly try. Who's gone missing this time?
It's not who, but what. Mid's scales, the ones she made for her workshop. I borrowed them to teach the little ones about weight, and shortly after the lesson, well, they vanished. My first thought was that they'd taken them off somewhere to play, but when I asked, they swore they had nothing to do with their having disappeared. Which almost certainly means they had everything to do with it.
Perhaps a visit from Sid will jog their memories.
I think it just might. Thank you. I don't like to imagine that my pupils would lie to me. But if they have, I'll have no choice but to discipline them accordingly. They were in the atrium when I last saw them, as always.
The stew's awful.
Canva lost. It can't be true.
What do you reckon we should do? I say we should just tell Miss Shirley.
You'll get us. Sid!
Hard at your studies, I see. And what is that? It's not a set of scales, is it?
No. Of course it isn't.
Well, not anymore, it's not. Oh,
And just how long hasn't it been one?
we're sorry.
But we didn't break them. We dismembered them.
Just like Miss Middledore showed us.
Miss Middledore? And why would she have you dismembering her creations?
Because that's the only way to become a ninja-neer.
Miss Middledore said, the best way to see how something works is to take it apart and put it back together again.
Well, then your work is already half done. Carry on.
About that.
The taking apart was easy enough, but it's the putting back we can't work out.
Speak for yourself. The heavy thing goes at the bottom. Then...
You three need to learn to take responsibility for your actions. So let's have a look at these parts with fresh eyes, shall we? All right. Everything here was once part of Miss Middeldoll's scales. Every piece has its own role to play, and each is just as important as the others. If even one of them is missing, the scales won't work. So let's think about what those roles might be. You already know one of the pieces. The body. Its role is to support everything else. But what of the others? This is called the arm. Why do you suppose that is? It doesn't look much like an arm.
You're right. It looks more like a wing. Like a chocobo wing!
You've ridden a chocobo before, haven't you, Sid? Will you teach me to ride one day?
I'll think about it. Now, what do arms do?
Hold things. So wait, maybe this arm holds things too?
Good thinking. You're on the right track. These round parts are called the pans. You all know what a pan is, don't you?
I do. Molly uses them in the kitchens to fry bangers. But these aren't for frying bangers, you idiot. They're for weighing stuff. But what if I wanted to weigh Goots? I don't think he'd fit on that little thing.
Probably not.
What are the chains for? Holding the pans up?
Well spotted. Which means something must hold the chains up in turn. This tiny piece is what's called a cogwheel, or gear. Have you ever seen one before?
I have. Miss Middledale's dungeon is full of them. Most are on the floor.
She puts them in all her inventions. They spin round and round and round and round and...
That's right. They're very useful when you want to make things move. Do you remember if there was anything on the scales that moved?
I remember the arm moved when I tried weighing an apple. And then somebody ate it.
It's not my fault. You shouldn't have tried weighing it before lunch.
You know what part's supposed to move and how it's supposed to move. So, let's put the pieces together first, see what doesn't move, and then stick the cogwheel to that.
Not a bad idea. You see? It's not so difficult. So, now that we've taken stock of the parts and learned what they do, what do you think?
I think we've got it.
Then here's what we'll do. You tell me what goes where, and I'll put the scales together.
Well, obviously you need to start with the body. All the other pieces fit onto it, don't they?
And the arms go on the body, just like real arms. Or wings, if you're a chocobo. And then the arms hold the pans by the chains.
Very good. Let's see if that works. There. All finished.
Yes! We did it!
Well, with Sid's help.
Oh, I just put the pieces together. It was you three engineers who showed me how.
That's right. We're Miss Middledale's hares.
Her hairs?
Yeah, hares for the future. She's showing us her secrets now, so we can help out the hideaway when we're older.
What do you think, Sid? Are we almost ready?
With a little more help from Miss Middledale and Miss Shirley, I'd say it won't be long at all.
You hear that? It won't be long.
Until then, though, do try to be honest with Miss Shirley.
Hey, look! We never used the cogwheel.
You don't think Sid forgot about it, do you?
Covered in nicks and lumps, the lot of them.
Come back. Well, did you solve the mystery?
It was as you thought. The children had the scales, or the parts of them at least. They dismantled them to see how they worked.
Oh, no, Mid will have my head.
Thankfully she won't. This might even have been her idea. Although I was the one who ended up teaching the lesson.
I'm so sorry, Sid. I know how busy you are. I shall see that the children are properly punished.
Please, there's no need. Mid seems to have taken the three of them under her wing. She's even calling them her heirs. She'd have them follow in her footsteps. And her father's.
I see. Sid, do you know why Mid has been spending so much time at the hideaway of late?
She told me it was because her studies have been interrupted by events in Canva. Is that not true?
No, it isn't. The university offered her a commission. In exchange for full tuition, room and board, they asked her to oversee the design of several new war engines. To anyone else it would be an opportunity, but to Mid, who lost both her parents to war, it was a bitter pill. One she was none too keen to swallow. But that should come as no surprise. She's only ever cared about bringing people hope. The very last thing war can be said to do.
Which explains her heirs. She's working to give them a better life. And so should I. What's the odd engineering lesson?
Ah, you've given them far more than that. And I'm sure they're very grateful.
How do you split the sea?
How are you feeling, Joshua?
Better than I was.
But not nearly as well as you should be. Your cuts and burns may have healed, but your body still bears the burden of every spell cast.
And what would you have had me do? It was no ordinary foe we faced. It was the Warden of Darkness. Yet still, it was not enough. The king could have ended me at any moment, but instead chose to toy with me like a curl does a mouse.
You underestimate yourself.
Oh, it was crystal clear. Only one man established his dominance that day, and that man was Barnabas. I'm sorry, brother. That was ill-spoken. It's just, I have never felt so powerless. And when so many are looking to us for strength, perhaps the prince feels the same.
What is this place?
Don't move.
It's fresh from the well. Grandmother told me spirits sometimes get lost, and that the lanterns guide them to their proper place. I set one on the river for her when she passed away.
The fiend works from the shadows. Was it you who guided my hand then, Ultima? No, not you. This is my doing, my fault, my sin to bear. And for it, I must atone.
Your hurts are healing nicely. It was my poultices that saw you well.
You make them?
And sell them, or try to. Earns me enough for bread, most days.
Forgive me. I have nothing to...
I know, but I couldn't just leave you lying there. You're going then?
Of course. I'm healed. Thanks to you and your poultices.
Will you promise to come back and visit?
Well, Phoenix, it would seem that I owe you my wings.
Perhaps he can find an answer. You will be returning to Waloed soon, I gather.
I see no reason to wait.
Then neither do I.
I can think of a few, but I doubt they'll stop you. You will take your medicine.
Of course, Lady Daya.
Set on leaving already, are you?
How long will it take us to get back to Ash?
Dunno, about the same amount of time it took us to get here. Maybe less, if your uncle can find someone trustworthy to patch up the Enterprise. All depends on where we're putting into port, mind.
Yes. It's not as if we can put ashore wherever we choose. We have to assume that the whole of Ash is hostile, and that we'll be attacked on sight.
Then we must find a place they won't think to look. And I have an idea who might know of one.
The Professor! I'll go and tell you coming.
While you're plotting our course, I'll be in the shelves with your lawsman. I wish to pick his brains about Ultima.
Then I'll talk to Karen about supplies for the journey. They may not be easy to come by in Ash.
Your brother's body won't take much more of this recklessness. You know that, don't you?
I do.
still say it were a compliment.
Say it all you like. It doesn't make it true. Ah, Clive. I was wondering when you'd arrive. Please tell me you've come to take our young prodigy here off my hands.
I'm not here for Mid. I need information on Ash.
Then why not ask Molly if you can look in one of her ovens? Go on.
As soon as the Enterprise is ready, we'll be setting out for Drake's Spine. And we're going to need a safe place to land.
Preferably one that won't see my ship blown to shit and splinters.
If it were that easy, do you think Waloed would have resisted invasion for so long? Very little is known of Ash, and the information we do have is spotty and outdated. We have the good King Barnabas to thank for that. Waloed's borders have been closed to outsiders since the day he seized the throne. If there is anywhere safe to land, you won't find it on my map.
Then tell us what we will find. I'm sure you know better than we do.
But no splinters.
All right, if it will get you out of my hair. But interrupt me, and it's over. Understood? Barnabas Tharm, the one they call the Last King. Understand him, and you will understand the kingdom of Waloed. Barnabas was only a boy when he arrived from beyond the southern seas, and barely a man before he united the ragged tribes of Ash. And having unleashed them upon the formidable Veldamark, he set his throne upon the ancient kingdom's ruins. The victory sent shockwaves around Valisthea, tales of Odin's might spreading through every court, parlor, and drinking hole in the realm. Note that this was in the year 843, and that the king still sits upon his throne some 40 years later, quite untouched by time. Waloed's recent inaction left many wondering if Odin had lost his appetite for war. And yet here we are. The Einherjar was committed to the fray, a bold declaration of intent. Orcs swarm around Drake's Fang, and throngs of Akashic haunt Canvas streets. Though how precisely the havoc they wreak serves Waloed remains unclear. Regardless, if the order to attack truly came from King Barnabas, then one thing is certain. Waloed has achieved the impossible, and made bedfellows of beastmen and the ether-addled alike. All of which is a roundabout way of saying that you will be in unknown territory when you set foot on Ash. Much of the continent has already been lost to the Blight, and what few ports remain will be fiercely guarded. And that is to say naught of its natural defenses. Offshore currents will cast an ill-equipped ship out to sea one moment, and dash it against the rocks the next. But then the Enterprise is anything but ill-equipped. And Mid has made land there before. Now, if only there were someone with an intimate knowledge of the Shadow Coast, and where a daring gentleman might put ashore. You see, Clive, you had the answer all along.
Do you think you can get us back to that beach, Mid?
Picked you up from it, didn't I? Not that it were easy. The currents were a right bastard. But then, if it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth doing, would it?
Well said. Thank you, Lady Vivian.
If a few morsels of common knowledge and a sprinkling of tavern talk are worthy of your thanks, I wonder what genuine intelligence might earn me.
Probably more visits. Mid, I need everyone in the ale hall now. I'll fetch Joshua from the shelves.
Aye, aye, Captain.
covered in nicks and lumps, the lot of them.
I have no reason to assume otherwise.
Clive, you must listen to this. Lawsman, tell him.
Do you recall when we spoke before on the divinity of Ultima? Well, it inspired me to delve deeper into the subject. And what I discovered appears to agree with the findings of His Grace.
You will recall that my quest to uncover Ultima's origins began with the mural at Phoenix Gate. But while I've always known it to be important, its secrets have heretofore eluded me. Now, however, I believe I know where to find the more complete example, one that will reveal all we seek.
Master Clive, have you ever in your travels chanced to hear of the Circle of Malleus? I would think not, if you have. But there was once a time when the faith flourished, the oldest known religion in the Twins, and though its popularity eventually waned on Storm, hints of its dogma remain embedded in more modern faiths such as the Crystalline Orthodox.
Wait, you said it waned on Storm. What of Ash?
Religious monuments are often torn down or repurposed when new faiths rise to prominence. But if no new faith arose, then perhaps the ancient temples might still stand. And so, you see now why I must accompany you to Waloed.
It would appear the past still has much to teach us, though in this case, it would not have been possible without the musings of Moss. To think that you carried a copy of my old mentor's chronicles all along. I am relieved to discover it in good hands.
I shall guard it with my life.
Joshua, if you're finished here, join me in the ale hall. I need to speak to everyone before we leave.
Right away.
If it please your grace, might I wonder...
Mid said I could ride the Enterprise next.
My apologies.
By now you've all heard where we're going and why. So I won't bother you with the boring details, only the important ones. If we attempt to approach Stone here by sea, there's a good chance we'll be sighted and fall prey to the capital's artillery. So instead, we'll disembark on the southwest coast and make for Drake's Spine on foot. I say we, but it's highly likely the entirety of Ash is under the rule of Ultima. A large party would only attract unwanted attention, as well as slow our march and require supplies which may be difficult to obtain. Only Joshua and I will be going. And a scout. Preferably a good one. Gav, do you know of any?
You bet your ass I do. Might still borrow some of Lady Vivian's maps, though. Just in case, like.
Once you've dropped us off at the Shadow Coast, you need to retreat into neutral waters, fly merchant colors, and stay inconspicuous. If you sense any danger at all, you leave us behind and return to Storm.
Inconspicuous is my middle name. But like hell am I leaving anyone behind. The ship ain't going nowhere till your scurvy mugs are smiling on deck.
Jill, the Enterprise will appear a tempting target for royalists and pirates alike. You're to stop anyone boarding.
Don't worry. I'll keep the ship and her crew safe. You'll be needing passage home, after all.
But... very well.
If there are no questions, I'll see you all at the docks.
Let me know when you're leaving. I want a word before you go.
Of course.